Good evening. Assignment 9 for chapters 4 and 5 of Understanding by Design, Kelly James. I wanted to start with saying that this is not a textbook that I was excited about reading. However, like most of my college coursework, it's challenging, and I think it's growing on me as far as it's causing me to grow. So I'm thankful for it. Tonight I'll be discussing a quote by Ron Edmonds. It is, "We can, whenever and wherever we choose, successfully teach all children whose schooling is of interest to us. We already know more than we need to do that. Whether or not we do it must finally depend on how we feel about the fact that we have not so far." And I had to read it a few times because I still feel like it's possible that what they mean is we have not accomplished or been successful at reaching students. That's always hard. So in digesting that, we have the knowledge to teach children if we really want to, is what it sounds like. But yet we haven't successfully taught them due to a lack of interest or a lack of sincere interest, it seems to be supposing. So the question it seems to be asking is, how do we feel about that, and what will we choose to do with those feelings? If I'm interpreting that correctly, which I suppose based on our reading, I'm interpreting it at least in one way of many, I would say that our feelings should motivate us to do something about it. Maybe something drastic, but at least something sincere, and yeah, so it's an interesting quote. Thank you for that. Part 2 of this video will actually take into account chapters 4 and 5 of Understanding by Design. We were challenged to understand our own motivation as a learner and to consider an experience as a learner, a time when we had been inspired to go beyond stated learning objectives, a moment when we were caught up in the magic and joy of learning, and to respond by creating a video that connects those two concepts with chapters 4 and 5. So my experience, my motivation as a learner is really what I would pick, which is sort of a big experience, but I don't have a specific caught up in the joy of learning moment outside of my classroom experiences. And since we're talking about as a learner, I chose to go with my experience in academia personally. I think it could best be summed up page 103 in the book. It talks about constructivism. Meaning cannot be taught. It must be fashioned by the learner via artful design and effective coaching by a teacher. Part of what curriculum design to develop student understanding will do is teach students that their job is not merely to learn facts and skills, but also to question them for their meaning. And I have had enough of an academic education that I would say I have a lot of information about Bloom's, but as far as actually using it and understanding it, I'm in the beginning of that journey. So that was a very nice way to kind of bring it all together in that statement, that learners need to be led to understanding so that they can ultimately design and apply and synthesize and all that, all those words that I've heard, but kind of understanding why they needed to do that, and I did like that. And that for me as a learner, I feel like that's true. So I liked that. It puts me in a position of power when it comes to my own education. There's a very famous poem by William Ernest Henley called Invictus, and I've always liked the poem, although the poem doesn't actually, the whole poem is not applicable. The end says, "I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul." And that's something that I've always really clung to. I think that this concept as a learner helps me to feel like maybe I could transfer that same thought process to my learners in a classroom so that they would have more ownership, and I could do that through essential questions and really trying to get a deeper level of understanding, or a multifaceted way of understanding. So the challenge and the rigor of the journey that I'm on really makes me feel that basically that the questions that we ask help us a lot. In application, specifically, there was a quote on page 92 that said, "We reveal our understanding as performance known how and ability to accomplish tasks successfully with grace under pressure and with tact." And I feel like that is something else. So I realized that we're supposed to be pursuing the magic, or caught up in the magic and joy of learning, but I feel like that's just something that I really enjoyed in the challenge of academia. So that is my joy. It's not a particular moment, it's all of it. I like the challenge of it. I like understanding things and applying what I've learned artfully. It's very fulfilling for me to feel like I've gained some kind of personal growth, and then I might be able to share that with other people. So I really like that. Page 122 of the text, I also liked, and I kind of wanted to end with that. So, and it says, "Students need to see how penetrating questions and arguments produce knowledge and understanding. If transfer is the key to teaching for understanding, our designs must make clear that questions are not only the cause of greater understanding in the student, but also the means by which all content accrues." So I feel like embracing this challenge has led me through many coursework hours, and the essential questions generate the growth. Therefore, the value for me that makes the rigor of my journey sustainable is these tougher things, specifically these couple chapters. Chapters 1 through 5 were not easy to read of this book for me, because it really mulls and mulls and mulls and mulls and over the same concepts. And I think it's because they're trying to achieve a very deep level of understanding, which is interesting. It's been a good growth experience for me.